Hello and welcome back to my channel where you'll be watching me become financially independent in 1 year, as well as I'll be sharing with you financial tips and tricks that you can use in your own personal life to take control of your finances. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you tips and tricks to paying off your student loans at a rapid rate, and also 4 big mistakes that I know a lot of people make, as well as myself. I've actually made all 4 of them. But before we jump in and start talking about best practice when it comes to paying off your student loans, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel, as I'm going to be uploading at least 2 videos per week on personal finance, creating side hustles with your 9-to-5 job, investing in stocks, and creating passive income streams in your life. Now that like button is just glowing blue, let's get down to business and start this video. Mistake number 1 that a lot of people make when it comes to paying off their student loans, and one that I've made myself, is to not even know how much you actually owe on your student loans. I remember when I first started school, I really didn't even want to think about how much it would cost to go to school. At that time, I really didn't like to think about finances, and so I was perfectly okay with completely not knowing, being completely blind, ignorance is bliss about what my student loans cost. I remember sometimes I would hear some of the other students talk about how much they would have to start paying on their student loans, and I would literally just close my ears and say, I don't want to know. But it wasn't until I actually graduated that I finally learned the final and total amount that I would have to pay off for all my student loans, and it was a number way higher than I thought it would be. I remember that day and just feeling completely defeated, like, what have I just done to myself? So my advice, and mistake number 1 that a lot of people make, is just not knowing how much they owe on their student loans. Knowing this amount, yes, it's not going to lower the actual amount, it's not going to reduce your interest rate, but it will give you time to mentally prepare for how much you're going to have to start paying, and to start thinking through strategies so that you can pay it off and not be filled with anxiety and fear when you finally realize how much school actually costs. It's outrageous. Mistake number 2 definitely applies to the first mistake, and that is, while you're going to school, not putting any sort of money down towards your student loans. I remember when I was in school, I definitely didn't want to go pick up an extra job while I was at school to start putting down money towards my student loans. I was very comfortable with just staying at where I was living and enjoy the ride while it lasted. And let's face it, school's hard enough as it is without having to go work at a job after you're done with classes. But putting down absolutely nothing while you're in school sets you up for a world of heartache much later on. Putting down even small amounts while you're still in school can save you months, if not years, of time spent paying off your student loans later on in life. As during this time, while you're in school, usually you're not incurring interest for your loans. Mistake number 3 is something I think a lot of people make because they don't have the financial education and they're naive about what a student loan is and how it actually works. When I first started paying off my student loans, I really didn't know how the interest worked on the student loans, and therefore I never asked if the interest rate could be renegotiated. A lot of times, student loan companies will actually work with you and allow you to reduce the rate of your interest that you'll pay over the life of your loan. I didn't do this when I first started out, and I was paying, I think, 9% on one of the student loans that I owed on. When the student loans came in, which was twice a month, I didn't ask any questions. I didn't think I was able to, and I just put the money they were asking me to give them into their checking accounts. It wasn't until, unfortunately, much later on that I realized by simply just picking up the phone and speaking with a representative at the loan company that I could reduce my loan interest rate, which would severely reduce the amount that I would pay over the life of my loan. After that phone call, I was able to get my interest rate down on my loans to a 4.5% interest, which in turn saves me a ton ton of money, especially because I continued to make the same amount of payments that I was making on the 9% interest rate. Student loan companies can also work with you to reduce the amount that is due each month. So for me and my student loan, one of my loans was around $980 per month, but the loan company not only reduced the interest rate, but reduced the amount that was due each month. However, I was able to continue to make that higher amount. Therefore, the life of my loan was actually cut down quite a bit, and I'm very thankful for making that call. Moving on to mistake number 4 that a lot of people make when it comes to paying off their loans, and I think this is one of the biggest ones that people make, and that is only paying the minimum amount that is due on their loan every month. Let's face it, no one wants to have another expense they have to pay for each month, especially a student loan, which usually is one of the largest expenses you're going to have to make over the course of your life. But simply only paying the minimum amount that is due every month on your loan allows the life of your loan to stay as it is and to not shorten. Remember, we want to shorten the life of our loan because as long as your loan lives, you got to pay for it. Even if you don't put a lot down extra each month. Say you only put down $200 to $300 extra dollars, you will find yourself paying far less than if you had stuck with the minimum payments each month. The longer you have to pay off your student loans, the more interest the company will collect. And therefore, who are they getting that interest collection from? You. By putting down extra payments each month, you're going to be greatly shortening the life of your loan, which means that it's less time that you're going to have to be paying on your loan, which is a good thing. Once again, this is unfortunately a mistake that I made when I started to pay off my student loans. The loan amount looked so high and it looked like something that I didn't want to continue paying. I wanted to have the money just go straight to my savings account so that I could use it for whatever. But once I learned that putting more down on my student loans each month will then in turn reduce months, if not years, that I'll have to pay off my student loans, I just began to put extra and extra money down each month, which has actually greatly reduced the amount I will eventually have to pay off. And there you have it. The 4 big mistakes that I see a lot of people make when it comes to paying off their student loans, including 4 mistakes that I made myself. Let's review. Number 1, not knowing how much you actually owe on your student loans. Number 2, not putting any money down towards your student loans while you're still in college. Number 3, not seeking to reduce the interest rate on your student loans. And number 4, paying the bare minimum that's due each month. Just increasing it by a couple $100 can really reduce the amount that you'll have to pay overall on your student loans. And there you have it, the 4 biggest common mistakes that people make, including myself, when paying off their student loans. Thankfully, because I realized I was making these mistakes and because I fixed the error of my ways, I am now set to pay off my student loans at a much earlier anticipated date than when I first graduated back in May of 2018. But what about you? Have you made any of these mistakes in your past? Are you currently making any of these mistakes? Do you know a friend or family member who's making them? Leave a comment down below sharing your progress and your experience with paying off student loans. Let's together seek ways that we can pay off our student loans at a much faster rate than the student loan companies would like us to. And that means extra money back in our wallets. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Be sure to like and subscribe as I'm going to be putting out a lot more content like this. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're finding value from it. I know I'm relatively new at this. I try to switch up my background a little bit. I got a nice fireplace brewing in the background. It's getting cold up here. It's getting to be winter time, so it's good to have a fireplace going. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.